Good morning, friends. It's Barbra-SUE at Kowalski Mountain, and I'm here with Jess, Weston, and Faith. And today we're doing some projects with the apples and produce that we bought at Jackson's Orchard. So we're going to start off making apple cider, and we're going to make some salsa as well today. So lots of projects. The guys are someplace. I don't even know what they're doing, but we've all got projects going on today. So we're going to let you join us. So the apples that we got are seconds, which means they have blemishes. But for what we're doing, that's fine. We're just going to cut them up, and we bought them yesterday and we're using them today so that we won't have a lot of waste. They have to be used right away or we could lose the apple. Now we have three kinds of apples that we're using today. The small ones are Gala apples. Those are the seconds that we bought. We also have yellow delicious and red delicious apples that we picked off the trees. I asked them at the orchard what they use in their cider, and they use all the apples, every kind. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a mix of all of them. So today we are making a spiced apple cider. I'm going to add some oranges and some seasonings to it, and then this is going to slow cook for about 6 hours.
Okay, let's get the orange. I gotta use the oranges.
You want to pull out, or do you need to go to your tent? I need 8 cinnamon sticks.
Watch your fingers, Weston.
You want to throw that in there? No, it's going in here.
I can do it.
You want to throw these in?
No, I can't.
1, 2, 3.
Just a second, not that one. Your
4.
turn.
Good girl. Good girl.
Oh, what's that long?
8. This has some brown sugar in it.
Mom. Cider.
Oh, fingers out. Fingers out. Thank you. Gonna have some, it called for whole nutmegs, and I couldn't find whole nutmegs, so I'm using ground nutmeg. Can you see on the back that says what to use? And it also calls for cloves. Alrighty, so I put about 1½ teaspoons of the nutmeg in there. Let me look at my list. We've added cinnamon sticks, oranges, cloves, allspice. I did not add the allspice. Allspice, here we go. So now we're going to add some water to this to cover the fruit, and then this is going to cook for almost the whole day. And this is going to be set up in front of the RV because we have the generator over there, so it will be plugged into that. So we're doing the next step on the cider. This spice cider smells so good. I'm sorry the generator, I know, is loud, but we are mashing up the apples a little bit. And these are still going to cook for probably 3 more hours.
Smells like fall.
Smells like fall. Philip's favorite season is fall, so that probably works out good. Tomorrow we're going to do another batch of cider, but we're going to have to do it on the stove because this is taking a lot of power from the generator. I've had to shut the air conditioner off inside to have this outside. I just don't have another pot big enough to do this in, so we're gonna make it work. So I'm going back to the cider. It's been cooking all day, about 6 hours, and it really could have gone a little bit longer. I'm a little concerned. It seems a little watery, and I'm not really happy with that. So I have a plan. We'll see. Right now I am straining it out. So this is my jelly strainer that you use for straining like jelly juice. and it's just a like a muslin bag. And then this is my food mill, and my food mill has a stand, but I'm using this up high, and I'm just using this to kind of work through to get as much of the juice out as I can. And then the jelly strainer is straining the rest of the solids before they go into the pot in the bottom here. So we're just going to work through this pot. So this is my food mill, and we've actually used it to make applesauce, the applesauce that we don't like. So you can make applesauce and not do anything but chunky apples. You don't have to core them, you don't have to eat them, you don't have to peel them, you don't have to do anything. You just put them in there, and then you run it through this food mill, and after it's cooked, and it pushes all the applesauce through this, and you end up with a really fine applesauce. So you can see how I'm getting some down in there.
Yeah.
This is a jelly strainer. So you can take the apple peels, and you can make jelly out of them.
Okay.
And what you do is you make basically a tea out of the skins. So you cook it, you let it release all the
stuff out of it.
yeah. And then you strain it, and this is what you would strain it through, so it's nice and clear.
Okay.
And then you take that juice and you make jelly out of that.
Do you press hard?
Somewhat hard. I mean, we want to get as much of it out as we can. And then when we're all done doing this, I'm actually going to dump this back through. All right, so I'm finished making cider, and you can see the sun is starting to set. Today is Tuesday, and I'm going to go ahead and can the cider. Didn't make a lot, and it was the first time making it. It's still a little more watery than I'd really like, but I'm going to go ahead and can it up and preserve it. There, I know I'm chopping off my head, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing too. Having a little trouble with yellow jackets out here in the canning kitchen, so I'm trying to keep everything covered and so I've already strained all this. I can't remember if I did it in the video yesterday or not, but I used my jelly strainer and my food mill to strain it, and that worked really well. And the perk was I didn't have to buy any special equipment to do it. I'm leaving about 1 inch of head space. I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be. Did not write that down in the instructions. And I just realized I didn't wipe the rim on that last jar, so I need to do that. The cider smells really good. So last night, since I don't have refrigerator space for this kind of a thing, I put this pot in a cooler and packed ice around it, and that kept it cold. It was very cold. The ants did find the cooler, but thankfully they couldn't get into the cider. Because the ice had melted and made it impossible for them to get to the cider, so thank goodness for that. Interestingly though, the ants were not interested in the apples in the cooler right beside it, which they could have gotten to, and they didn't even look at. So now the cider doesn't have a lot of sugar in it,
Put a couple of blocks.
only a half a cup per batch. So it has some, but really not much.
On top of each other, angle down, you lower it.
Jess is trying to get Weston to bed. We have been wearing him out. So here's the water bath canner. It's fully loaded. My kitchen sink. We'll use this cover. So the cider's ready to come out. They only process for 5 minutes for pints and quarts, so it's time to take that out. And Jess, I'm trying to decide if I should bottle another jar. This is what we got left. Did you want to take them out? Sure. You don't have to. Yeah. Since you missed out on all the bread. Really take that out because I only have a pot. So we have just a couple more jars to do. These jars have to sterilize because the processing time is less than 10 minutes. So I am going to put these in and get them sterilized to can the last bit of it. Now I put these in this hot water over here so they will...
Temperatures.
Ooh, yeah,
I got you.
thank you. I'm actually making lunch right now. I have some burgers on the grill. And while I'm waiting, I'm just going to check the seals of my apple cider. So this is the spiced apple cider that we canned. And they've been sitting for more than 24 hours. So I'm just going to check the seals, try to pull it off. As long as the lid doesn't come off, I know it's sealed properly. So I'm putting the date and labeling for what it is. Now we're traveling home. We're going to be driving home, and so I'm going to go ahead and put the rings back on just for traveling purposes. When I get home and I put these into the pantry, I will take the rings off, but just so I don't have to deal with all these rings that are loose, I'm going to leave them on the jars. But I still want to check all the seals to make sure that they're good before we leave, because anything not sealed we'll need to use and put into the fridge. So far these are good. Now I didn't bring my white vinegar with me, so my jars do look a little chalky. I would normally add some white vinegar to my water bath, but I didn't bring it with me, so it is what it is. I I only sipped the cider a little bit last night. We didn't actually drink any of it, but it tasted pretty good. It's a little more watery than I expected. I'm really curious how they do it, like at the orchard that we go to. I'm really curious to how they make cider. They make it, of course, by a lot. And theirs is very rich and appley, and ours is just more bland. I tried to put less water in it, but that was just making sauce. So I ended up adding more water. I have to look in to see how to do it. We did actually look at buying a cider press. It was a cast iron old one, but it was sold before we got it. So we had to kind of do it the old-fashioned way. Well, I've got some more jobs to do today, so I'm going to get on it. See you later, friends.